Have you ever looked into your cat's eyes and felt a sudden, nagging suspicion that they were trying to tell you something important, something urgent, but you just couldn't decode the message? As cat owners, we like to think we know our feline companions inside and out. We feed them the best food, provide them with cozy beds, and shower them with affection. But cats are evolutionary masters of disguise. In the wild, showing any sign of weakness, illness, or vulnerability makes an animal an immediate target for predators. Because of this deeply ingrained genetic programming, your domestic cat will go to extraordinary lengths to hide their discomfort, anxiety, or pain from you. By the time they actually start showing obvious symptoms, they are often already in a state of severe distress. Feline behaviorists and veterinary scientists have long warned that cats rarely cry out when they need help. Instead, they beg for it silently, through subtle shifts in their daily routines, posture, and body language. Missing these quiet cries for help can lead to prolonged suffering or chronic health issues that could have been easily prevented if caught early. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on feline psychology and explore the subtle, hidden cues that indicate your cat is silently begging for your assistance, allowing you to finally understand what your furry companion is desperately trying to communicate. One of the most easily overlooked signs that something is deeply wrong involves a sudden and drastic shift in how your cat interacts with their immediate environment. You might notice that your usually social, affectionate feline has suddenly transformed into a ghost, spending hours tucked away in the darkest corners of your closet, underneath the bed, or behind the sofa. While it is completely normal for a cat to enjoy a quiet nap in a secluded spot, a persistent desire to hide is one of the ultimate red flags in feline psychology. Veterinary behaviorists refer to this as hiding behavior, and it is almost always triggered by physical pain, intense fear, or extreme stress. When a cat's body is fighting off an infection, dealing with internal inflammation, or experiencing arthritis, their primal instinct tells them to find a secure bunker where nothing can disturb them. If you notice your cat withdrawing from family life and refusing to come out even for their favorite treats, they are not just being moody or antisocial. They are actively using a coping mechanism to deal with a situation they cannot handle on their own, and they are relying on you to notice their absence and investigate the underlying cause. Moving on to another surprising sign that demands your immediate attention, we have to look closely at changes in your cat's grooming habits. Cats are notoriously meticulous creatures, spending up to half of their waking hours cleaning their fur. However, when a cat is experiencing psychological distress or localized physical pain, this grooming behavior can swing to dangerous extremes. You might begin to notice bare patches of skin on their belly, their inner thighs, or the base of their tail, often accompanied by red, irritated skin. This is known as psychogenic alopecia, or compulsive overgrooming. When a cat feels anxious due to changes in the household, or when they are feeling a throbbing ache in a specific joint, the act of licking releases endorphins in their brain that temporarily soothe their discomfort. Conversely, a complete lack of grooming is just as alarming. If your once pristine cat suddenly develops a dull, matted, or greasy coat, or if you notice dandruff accumulating along their spine, it is a strong indication that they are either too depressed, too weak, or in too much pain to bend and reach those areas. Whether they are grooming themselves to the point of baldness or neglecting their hygiene entirely, their coat is a direct reflection of their internal well-being, screaming for your intervention. Another deeply unsettling behavior that leaves many owners confused and frustrated is when a traditionally well-behaved cat suddenly begins eliminating outside of their litter box. It is tragically common for owners to view this as an act of spite or revenge, but feline psychology proves that cats simply do not possess the cognitive capacity for malice. When a cat urinates on your bed, your carpet, or your clean laundry, it is never a behavioral protest, it is a desperate cry for medical or emotional help. From a medical standpoint, conditions like feline lower urinary tract disease, painful urinary tract infections, or bladder stones make the act of urinating excruciatingly painful. Because the cat associates the litter box itself with that burning pain, they begin searching for soft, cool surfaces where they hope the experience will be less distressing. On the psychological side, urinating outside the box, a behavior known as inappropriate elimination or marking, can be a sign of profound environmental stress or territorial insecurity. By spreading their scent on prominent areas, they are trying to create a self-soothing boundary of familiarity in a world that currently feels chaotic to them. Punishing your cat for this only compounds their terror, exacerbating the very issue you need to solve. Beyond changes in their bathroom habits, you must also pay very close attention to how your cat positions their body when they think you aren't looking. A happy, healthy cat is fluid, relaxed, and loose, but a cat in pain will often adopt what behaviorists call the loaf posture with a distinct, painful twist. While a healthy cat loves to curl up into a relaxed loaf where their paws are neatly tucked and their eyes are contentedly closed, a suffering cat will sit in a hunched position with their spine curved upward, their head held low toward the ground, and their shoulders tightly tensed. Their eyes might be tightly shut or wide open with a glassy, vacant stare, and their ears are often slightly rotated outward or flattened against their head, a position frequently referred to as airplane ears. This hunch posture is a universal sign of abdominal discomfort, nausea, or severe spinal pain. They are essentially guarding their body, trying to compress themselves into a tight ball to protect their vital organs from potential threats while they feel entirely defenseless. If you see your companion sitting this way for extended periods, refusing to relax into a side sleep position, they are silently enduring a level of physical distress that requires swift veterinary diagnosis. Continuing down the path of physical and behavioral shifts, a sudden alteration in your cat's vocalization patterns can tell you an enormous amount about their internal state. Every cat has a unique vocal blueprint. Some are naturally chatty, while others rarely make a sound. The warning sign here is a departure from their established baseline. If your quiet cat suddenly begins yowling loudly in the middle of the night, or if your vocal cat suddenly goes completely silent, they are trying to communicate a profound shift in their reality. Nighttime yowling, especially in senior cats, is frequently linked to feline cognitive dysfunction, which is essentially the feline equivalent of dementia. As the sun goes down and the house grows dark, these cats can become disoriented, anxious, and deeply confused, crying out into the darkness because they have temporarily forgotten where they are or how to find you. In younger cats, a sudden increase in sharp, high-pitched meows can indicate sudden spikes in pain or extreme frustration due to environmental stresses. Listening closely to the tone, frequency, and timing of your cat's voice is like reading the headlines of their emotional state, and a sudden change in volume is a clear request for you to step in and offer comfort or medical evaluation. Another vital clue that your cat is silently begging for help can be found during mealtime, specifically through a phenomenon known as phantom hunger or a sudden, unexplained loss of appetite. We all know that a loss of appetite is a universal sign of illness in almost all animals, but in cats, even a single day without food can trigger a life-threatening liver condition called hepatic lipidosis. What makes cat psychology so fascinating, yet tragic, is that a cat might walk up to their food bowl, sniff it with apparent interest, and then walk away, or they might even drop food from their mouth while trying to chew. This behavior often points directly to severe dental disease, resorptive lesions, or oral tumors. The cat wants to eat, their hunger is driving them to the bowl, but the moment they attempt to consume the food, the sharp, shooting pain in their mouth forces them to retreat. Alternatively, a sudden, insatiable increase in appetite accompanied by weight loss is a classic indicator of metabolic diseases like hypothyroidism or diabetes. If your cat is suddenly begging for food constantly but their spine and ribs are becoming increasingly prominent, their body is failing to absorb nutrients properly, meaning they are starving from the within despite a full stomach. In addition to changes in consumption, you must also be highly vigilant about changes in your cat's mobility and how they navigate the vertical spaces in your home. Cats are natural-born climbers who view their world in 3 dimensions, finding immense comfort in high perches, window sills, and the tops of bookshelves. When a cat suddenly stops jumping onto the kitchen counter, hesitates for a long time before jumping onto the couch, or starts using intermediate pieces of furniture as stepping stones to get to a higher surface, it is almost never a sign of them simply growing lazy. Veterinary studies show that an overwhelming majority of cats over the age of 6 suffer from some degree of osteoarthritis. Because cats are incredibly light and agile, they can mask joint pain for years by subtly altering the way they move. They might start taking the stairs very slowly, or they might completely abandon their favorite high-up sleeping spots in favor of low-level alternatives. This loss of mobility directly impacts their mental health, leading to feelings of vulnerability and depression because they can no longer escape to the high ground where they feel safe. Recognizing these subtle mechanical adjustments in their movement allows you to provide orthopedic support and pain management before their world shrinks completely. Another profoundly telling sign that your cat is crying out for assistance lies within their eyes, specifically regarding the visibility of their third eyelid, or a condition known as anisocoria. Cats possess a specialized nictitating membrane, a translucent third eyelid located in the inner corner of their eyes that normally remains hidden when they are awake and alert. If you begin to notice this membrane creeping across one or both of their eyes while they are fully conscious, it is a definitive biological signal that their immune system is compromised, or that they are experiencing severe systemic illness, dehydration, or neurological trauma. Similarly, if you look at your cat and notice that one pupil is vastly larger than the other, you are looking at a medical emergency. Anisocoria can indicate corneal injury, glaucoma, feline leukemia, or central nervous system disorders. The eyes are truly a window into a cat's neurological and physical health, and any deviation from bright, clear, symmetrical pupils and clear sclera is a silent, visual SOS that your cat cannot hide from you, no matter how hard their instincts try to mask the underlying problem. Furthermore, a cat's emotional distress can often manifest as a sudden, shocking shift in their personality, turning a gentle companion into an aggressively defensive animal. If your cat has always loved being petted, but suddenly turns around and hisses, growls, or swats at your hand when you touch a specific area, this is not a random behavioral glitch. This is a classic case of pain-induced aggression. The cat is terrified that your touch will intensify their physical suffering, so they use the only language they have left to establish a boundary and protect themselves from further discomfort. This can also manifest as hyperesthesia syndrome, where a cat's skin suddenly ripples or twitches uncontrollably, causing them to bite frantically at their own back or tail as if they are being attacked by invisible insects. When a cat's nervous system is overwhelmed by stress or neurological misfires, their entire reality becomes agonizingly overstimulating. Recognizing that an aggressive outburst is actually a defense mechanism driven by fear and physical pain is essential for preserving the bond of trust between you and your feline companion. Another subtle cue that demands your attention is a phenomenon known as head pressing, which is completely different from the affectionate head bunting your cat does when they want affection. Head bunting involves your cat rubbing their cheeks and forehead against you or the furniture to deposit comforting pheromones. Head pressing, on the other hand, is a compulsive, desperate behavior where a cat presses the top of their head firmly against a flat wall, a corner, or a piece of furniture and stays there completely motionless for extended periods. This behavior is a direct response to severe intracranial pressure or neurological distress. It is commonly associated with conditions such as hepatic encephalopathy, which occurs when a failing liver can no longer filter toxins from the blood, allowing ammonia to build up and cause brain swelling. It can also be a sign of a stroke, a brain tumor, or severe lead poisoning. When a cat presses their head against the hard surface, they are trying to relieve an agonizing, throbbing pressure inside their skull. This is a critical, life-threatening situation that requires immediate emergency veterinary intervention, and understanding the difference between a loving rub and a neurological cry for help can quite literally save your cat's life. As we look at all these silent signals together, it becomes profoundly clear that our feline companions rely entirely on our ability to be observant, intuitive, and deeply empathetic guardians. They do not possess the vocal cords to say "I am hurting," nor do they possess the social instincts to seek out comfort when they are weak. Instead, they leave a trail of quiet breadcrumbs, subtle deviations from their beautiful, normal routines, hoping that the bond we share is strong enough for us to notice. By dedicating yourself to learning their silent vocabulary, observing the nuance of their postures, tracking their habits, and respecting their changes in boundaries, you are fulfilling the ultimate promise of pet ownership. You are stepping up to be their protector when their ancient survival instincts force them to suffer in silence. Always trust your intuition. If you feel deep down that something about your cat's behavior has shifted, do not wait for the symptoms to become devastating. Reach out to a veterinary professional, run the necessary diagnostics, and give your cat the voice they so desperately need. What about your own feline companion at home? Have you noticed any of these subtle changes in their daily habits or behavior recently? Tell us your stories in the comments below, because sharing your experiences could help another cat owner save a life today. If you want to dive even deeper into the secret world of your cat's mind and discover the hidden dangers lurking in your daily routine, you absolutely cannot miss our next video, where we reveal the innocent things you do every day that are secretly traumatizing your cat.